Thank you for including me in this very important event. And I was very excited a couple of months ago, almost a year ago, that I got invited to this event to celebrate, to honor Wolfgang Lu's birthday. So I was thinking, what I should present here. So as Brian mentioned, there is a large research area in population environment and population climate change. And I just want to contribute one small research topic. And over the years, of course, I learned a lot from Wolfgang, and particularly starting with population development and PDE model. That's something like start from there, led us through the research career. And you gradually moved to the research area of population climate change. And I was tell something more about this topic. And actually, previously, this research was presented at the European Population Conference 2 months ago. And Wolfgang asked a question, how big the deal will be, wildfire risks. That's a natural wildfire. And it's there, so does it matter? And just because of that question, and we went further to understand, does it really matter to human society? So we, in the past 2 months, and we worked further to understand the health consequences of the wildfire risks. Also encouraged, suggested by Brian, say, not only look at the emission, but also the exposure. So that's something that I will report here on population growth, urbanization, future wildfire risks, and health impacts. So this is something like a typical topic if you want to do a study on population climate change, and you need a big group from different experts from different disciplines. So in this research, we have a 5 modeler. We have a vegetation modeler, we have a climate modeler, and we also have atmosphere chemistry modelers. So this is something like, when you want to do a study on those kind of topic, you need this expertise. And why we want to look at wildfire risk? Because wildfire is a basic terrestrial ecosystem. So it is evolved with natural vegetation structure and species composition. And it occurs, and you need a egulator. It spreads with dry and combustible materials. And recent projection find out that with the global warming and dry world, then the wildfire will increase. And wildfire is also a major risk to human society, damage to properties and lives, and cause pollution and cause health consequences. And it also add to the greenhouse gases and lead to climate change and reduce the vegetation coverage and complicated the reforestation efforts. And people look at the recent changes in wildfire records. They find out that, in recent years, you have a significant reduction in wildfire in almost all regions of the world. In the meantime, you have global warming, increase in the temperature, and also increase in carbon dioxide concentration. While dioxide concentration carbon dioxide concentration may contribute to the reduction in wildfire. Climate change will definitely increase the fire risks. And so that's the puzzle there. Why you experience or observe this major reduction in wildfire? And people look at the reasons and find out that it relates with the population changes and also changes in population density. And in different regions of the world, and people argue the reduction in wildfire, it was because the increase in population size and population density. Human population is not only an ignitor, lead to more ignition, but also act as a wildfire depressor. They actively suppress the fires, and through changing the vegetation structure, remove fuel woods, and cause land fragmentation, and play a kind of barrier, the role of a barrier for the spreading of wildfires. So in this research, we argue that when we predict the changes in wildfire, we should consider not only the climate condition, but also the carbon dioxide concentration, and as carbon dioxide concentration increase will cause a fertilization effect and enhance shrub encroachment, then increase the woody area and kind of serve as a barrier for spreading of wildfire in the southern areas. We also need to consider the changes in population size and its spatial distribution. So the paper, the research first is look at this. So we try to examine the impacts of changes in population growth and spatial distribution on the different population and urbanization trajectories. So the wildfire risks is defined as the burned areas. So we use three kinds of models to do this analysis. First is a semi-empirical global fire model called SimFire. And this model has a special feature. It considers not only other factors, but also the population size and population density. And we also include a global dynamic vegetation model, LPG gas model, and it simulates the global and regional dynamics and composition of vegetation structure, and considering the carbon dioxide concentration and nitrogen deposition. And the third model we include in the analysis is a global dynamic atmosphere and chemistry model called, it's an NCARF chem model. It computes the concentration, the emission of those organic, those chemistries in the atmosphere, but also the concentration through deposition of wind currents, they change the concentration of the air pollutants. The data we use in this analysis is the global satellite data on the records of burned areas, and also the changes in vegetation structure and other climate data. From the population size, from population side, we have the spatial population distribution of the over the history. And then we also include the shared population projections in the shared socioeconomic pathways. And maybe I don't need to go through this in the detail, but just I want to mention that we include the shared socioeconomic pathways, population and urbanization projections. So in each of the SSP projections, we include the population projection. And for example, in SSP1, you have low population projection. You also include a urbanization projection. SSP1, you have a fast urbanization scenario. So SSP2 is a medium population and central urbanization projection. SSP3 has a high population and slow urbanization projection. So all the SSPs include a quantitative projection of future changes in population and urbanization. So the projection results at a national level are downscaled to grid cells using a downscaling model Brian mentioned. So in the analysis, we consider two climate conditions. One is RCP 4.5. That's a kind of a medium climate change scenario. And we also have include a high climate change scenario, RCP 8.5. Then we do a sensitive analysis to understand what are the impacts in population changes and in urbanization. And the two extreme cases we consider are the SSP populations, low population projection but fast urbanization, versus SSP3, a high population projection but a slow urbanization projection. We also try to understand the net impacts of urbanization on wildfire changes. We consider SSP2 medium population, but varies by urbanization projections, central, fast, and slow. We don't consider SSP1 because SSP1 is a sustainable development scenario. Then it will not generate the carbon dioxide concentration lead to high climate change, RCP 8.5. So that we don't include SSP1 in the analysis. We include SSP4. We don't include SSP4 in the analysis because it's similar to SSP5 results. So that's the research design, and this is the result. If you only consider the impact of climate change, and that will be global warming, then you will increase, this is the black line, you will increase wildfire risks under the two climate change scenarios, the RCP 4.5, the medium climate change scenario, and the high climate change scenario, RCP 8.5. If we only consider climate change, it will increase in the future. But if you consider the carbon dioxide concentration, that's the blue line, in general, the wildfire risks will not increase in the future. Then if you put population and its spatial distribution into the picture, in general, the future wildfire risk will continue to decline into the future. But if you consider different population and urbanization scenarios, it will come with a range of variations. If you consider a SSP3, a high population growth but slow urbanization projection, globally you will have the lowest wildfire risks in the future, versus SP5, if you have low population growth but fast urbanization, and the risk will be the highest. And even under high climate change scenario, it will increase in the future, but in the late century, in the later of this century. And we will also observe the large regional variation. Then you will observe an increase in North America, Central America, and South Europe. But the wildfire risks will decrease mostly in Africa and also in Central Asia. And also find that the fire risk will decrease mostly in low population density areas with less than 10 persons per square kilometer, and also in the high population density with population more than 100 people per square kilometer. And the wildfire will increase mostly in the medium population density areas with the population density between 30 to 100 people per square kilometer. Wolfgang asked the question, does it matter if the wildfire will affect the human population? And we look at the impacts of wildfire on PM 2.5 emission and concentration. And first, let's look at the current situation. Currently, if you look at the wildfire, we find that the wildfire is a kind of a dominant source of PM 2.5 distribution in the whole world. And the wildfire causes the emission of PM 2.5, which is in light blue. And the dark blue are the anthropogenic PM 2.5 emission. That's due to human actions, human activities. And you will find that in general, look at the land areas, wildfire causes the dominant source of PM 2.5. But of course, the anthropogenic sources are concentrated in high population density areas. So that's something like we also have to look at. If you compare the PM 2.5 emission by region and by population density, compare the anthropogenic emission versus wildfire and deforestation and peatland, then you will find that there is a large regional variation. In general, the anthropogenic emission of PM 2.5 increase with the population density. This is population density. With population density in almost all regions, you will increase. And if you look at the distribution of the wildfire by population density, you will find that it is the highest. There's a green line. It's the highest in the area of medium population density across all different regions. And in regions in sub-Saharan Africa, you will find that in the low population density area, wildfire dominate the emission of PM 2.5. If you look at, but compared to the regions in the Middle East and North Africa, and in high-income European countries, the anthropogenic emission is much higher than the wildfires. So there is a large regional variation. And in China, in East Asia, well, I should go fast. The concentration, the PM 2.5 has the concentration is the highest, and it's mainly due to the anthropogenic emission. Wildfire contribution is the second. So if we look at the future changes, we find that over time, from 2010, 2030, and down to 2090, the anthropogenic emission will decline. But the wildfire emission in some regions will increase a PM 2.5. And so that's kind of important information we can have message we can get from here. Particularly when when almost all the regions implement air pollution regulations, then you will drive down the anthropogenic PM 2.5 emission. But wildfire emission will increase. So that's something like we need to pay attention to. I don't think I have time to go through the results. I just come to my conclusion. So we do find that population growth and its spatial distribution are the main factor for explaining the declining wildfires. And in the projection of wildfire risks, we need to consider not only the changing in climate system, but also the population and urbanization. And compared to population growth, urbanization play a relatively more important role in future fire risks. Wildfire risk will play an increasing more important role in PM 2.5 emission and concentration and cause health consequences. So that's something like we need to pay attention to. Thank you. That's my presentation. And at the end, I want to say about some words. My appreciation to Wolfgang Lutz. Wolfgang, over the many years, as a lot of people mentioned that, gave a lot of guidance, lead us through our career. So here I want to especially express our appreciation for your help for establishing the Asian Demography Research Institute at Shanghai University. And we bring a small present for you. And you not only support to establish the institute, but also send two best of your people from Yangsan and VIT to the institute to help with us. And we have Samir and the Guy here, and they will join me to give you a small present from our Asian Demography Research Institute. Could you open that? This is a circle embroidery from the Hangzhou area. It's if you open it, you will find this. Yeah. Wow. Chinese painting from 1,000 years ago, and it considered as the best Chinese painting in the whole history. And this painting called Along the River during the Spring Festival. It recorded the people's daily life in Song Dynasty. That's 1,000 years ago. And the last emperor, Pu Yi, when he ran away from Forbidden City secretly and to Manchuria, he only carried a small suitcase. Inside there are only a number of treasures he could brought. And this printing scroll was one of them. And so we consider this as a kind of a China Mona Lisa. Of course, this is not original painting. This is a silk. This is a silk emperor from Hangzhou. Our colleague ordered from Hangzhou, a city about 1 hour high-speed train distance. I carried from Shanghai to Colorado, and last week I put it in my suitcase, traveled through New York and Paris, and eventually come to here. Yeah, travel is right. Thank you very much for all the help. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Leiwen, for bringing wildfire to a session, and very nice